Time leaves its mark on every cell of our body. Aging was considered inevitable until artificial intelligence interfered with the genetic code. Project Meg-A-Psi hacks the mechanisms of decay. We are reprogramming biological clocks, restoring youth, and managing longevity. Meg-A-Psi, the future without aging is here.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are putting on our researcher hats to explore an absolutely incredible paradigm shift happening right now in biology. We're looking at how precision medicine is completely disrupting the science of aging. You know, for decades, aging was just considered this slow, unchangeable decline, something we all just had to accept. But modern science has discovered that aging isn't just an inevitable fact of life. It's actually a biological process with specific dials we can literally tweak. So, by looking at the latest data and insights from leading researchers, we're going to unpack exactly how the future of medicine is shifting from merely treating sickness to fundamentally extending our vibrant, healthy years. Okay, let's dive into this. We're taking a structured journey today, moving from macrobiology all the way down to your daily habits. We'll be looking at the geroscience hypothesis, health span over lifespan, AI and precision medicine, personal agency versus safety, daily habits for longevity, and finally, the next decade of breakthroughs.
Section 1. The geroscience hypothesis, a reactive paradigm.
To understand the future, we really have to look at the fundamental economic and medical problem with our current healthcare system. Right now, we live under a reactive medical order. Think about it. There's a whole economic system, hospitals, care facilities, pharmaceuticals, built around waiting for a disease to happen. When someone suffers a heart attack, that is the end of a process that initiated 15 years earlier. Medicine does an amazing job at treating it then, but actually, scratch that. It's really just a whack-a-mole approach. We wait for something to go wrong, and we hit it. Proactive medicine, however, is a massive disruption. It asks, how can we prevent this from occurring in the very first place by targeting the underlying biological pathways? And this brings us right to the geroscience hypothesis. The core idea here is that aging is the single biggest risk factor for almost all chronic diseases. We're talking heart disease, cancer, neurodegeneration, Alzheimer's. Currently, when people reach age 65, 70% carry at least one of these diseases. But researchers have discovered that by targeting core biological hallmarks of aging, like cellular senescence, which is when aging cells stop dividing but don't actually die off, we aren't just treating one disease. We have the potential to prevent or delay all of them simultaneously. We stop playing whack-a-mole and we start fixing the whole board. The data shows us this is absolutely the future. Moving on to Section 2, health span over lifespan, quality over quantity. It is time to clarify a major misconception in the longevity space. You'll often hear the terms lifespan and health span used interchangeably, but they couldn't be more different. Lifespan is simply the total number of years you are breathing. Health span, though, that's the number of years you live in vibrant, functional health, entirely free from chronic, debilitating disease. As researchers, our primary focus isn't on chasing some science fiction immortality. We are laser-focused on health span. We want a higher quality of life, not just extending the duration of suffering. To ground some of the wilder claims you might hear online, like people saying they're going to live to 150 or 200, we really have to look at the data. Based on evidence from the billions of human beings who have lived on Earth, there is currently a hard biological limit on human lifespan, and it sits right around 115 years. For sure, that is the ceiling we are currently working under. But here is the number that truly matters: 95. Right now, most people live to about 65 in relatively good health before those chronic diseases start to take over. The realistic, transformational goal of modern longevity science is to push that average human health span all the way up to 95. Just imagine the profound societal and economic impact if entire populations could spend an extra 30 years being vibrant, active, and capable. That is a massive paradigm shift. I absolutely love this quote from leading aging researcher Dr. Eric Verdeen because it captures this grounded approach perfectly. He says, "I hate to talk about immortality because, frankly, it's crazy. I've said, if you want to be immortal, go to church." It playfully disarms the skeptics but firmly reminds us that this is a practical biological science aimed at real-world vitality. Section 3. AI and precision medicine, decoding complexity. And this brilliantly illustrates why we need incredibly advanced tools if we're going to tweak complex biological dials to keep people healthy until they're 95. The evolution of scientific research is wild. In the old era, a scientist might look at a single gene, maybe process about 20 data points manually. But aging isn't a single gene issue, right? It's a massively complex multi-system process. We are now in the network biology era. When you're looking at how thousands of genes interact, you might be dealing with 100,000 data points. The human mind simply cannot process that. We absolutely require large biological AI models to find the hidden patterns in our biology that unlock this precision medicine. Because of this huge need for data, the culture of scientific labs is completely shifting. There's this fascinating dynamic where institutions are fiercely competing to be the first to make a discovery, yet they are engaging in massive global collaboration at the exact same time. Major funding organizations actually require researchers to deposit their findings into giant data repositories, like the Biomarker of Aging Consortium. This means researchers all around the world can mine shared data to validate longevity interventions far faster than ever before. It's like a giant puzzle they are solving together.
Section 4. Personal agency versus safety.
As this science accelerates, a real ethical tension is emerging. On one side, we have personal agency. We're seeing these longevity clinics rise up, providing personalized biological assessments and allowing patients to take calculated risks. For example, taking an off-label drug like rapamycin episodically to target aging pathways, all under strict medical supervision. But on the other side, we have rigorous safety. Some folks argue the FDA holds back innovation, but history tells us a different story. In the 90s, gene therapy was touted as a total cure-all, but tragic, unsupervised experiments led to patient deaths, effectively stalling the entire field for 20 years. Rigorous safety protects the public and the field's credibility from the dangers of reckless online biohacking.
This also brings up a totally crucial regulatory point. Aging is a risk factor. It's not a disease. There's a myth out there that if we just got the FDA to classify aging as a disease, investment floodgates would open up. But practically speaking, that would mean unnecessarily labeling perfectly healthy 21-year-olds as sick. We don't need to classify it as a disease to innovate. We already successfully prescribe FDA-approved medicines for non-disease conditions all the time, like statins for high cholesterol or treatments for contraception.
Section 5, Daily Habits for Longevity. So, what does this all mean for us today? How can you safely engage in precision medicine right now? People are desperately searching for a magical stack of 100 pills, but the clinical data always points right back to the fundamentals. Optimizing nutrition, daily physical exercise, high-quality sleep, and mitigating stress are the proven foundations. If you want a basic, scientifically backed supplement stack, researchers highlight vitamin D, B12, and omega-3 fatty acids, which actively support cellular health. The real key to precision medicine, however, is tracking your personal biomarkers with a longevity physician over time. Instead of just guessing, doctors are now looking at specific data points, like inflammatory markers, lipid panels, and epigenetic DNA clocks, to see what actually works for your specific biology. But you don't always need a massive blood panel to know where you stand. Here is a truly mind-blowing piece of data. There is a simple 20-question functional test used by researchers that essentially just asks, how healthy do you think you are relative to your peers? And remarkably, a person's subjective self-assessment acts as an incredibly accurate biological clock. It predicts their actual lifespan within plus or minus 3 years. You intrinsically know when you are functionally thriving. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that beyond physical habits, we have to look at the psychobiology of aging. The data shows that the absolute greatest predictors of life expectancy, even more than what you eat, are human connection, loving relationships, and a profound sense of purpose. It literally comes down to biology. Things like oxytocin, the human bonding hormone, have a direct, measurable impact on our health span. This is exactly why researchers consider the modern epidemic of loneliness to be a severe biological health crisis. Section 6, Next Decade of Breakthroughs. So where is this exponential curve taking us? We are standing on a hockey stick curve of scientific discovery. Right now, we are immersed in complex clinical trials in biomarker tracking, but leading researchers predict that by the year 2030, through massive initiatives like the X Prize, a validated human intervention will be announced. This intervention, whether it's a drug or a combined protocol, is expected to add 10 to 15 years to the average human health span. When that happens, the economic impact will be an absolute tsunami. We're talking about potentially creating a market far larger than the current $150 billion weight loss drug industry, simply because longevity applies to every single human on Earth. Which leaves us with the most important question to consider as this science becomes our reality. If the geroscience hypothesis succeeds, and science gives you an extra 15 years of vibrant, active, and fully functional health,
What will you do with them? It's a profound thought to carry with you. Thank you for joining me on this explainer. I hope you found this dive into the data as fascinating as I do. Keep tracking those habits and stay curious.
Molecules degrading in the shadows of the maze. Chronos holds the terminal, counting down the days. Get outside today, step into the rain. We are boarding now, catch the light train. Iron turns to energy, pistons turn to light. Evolution redesign, blinding in its might. Evolution redesign, blinding in its might. Get outside today, step into the rain. We are boarding now, catch the light train. Through the quantum tunnel, past the final shore, living